Okay. I really, like, honestly and truthfully, am so tired of. So, you know what? What is going on with these police officers? Like, what is really going on? I'm so, like, beyond annoyed, beyond disgusted, beyond irritated. Let me first say, all law enforcement are not bad, are not crooked, but there is a nice handful that are. And for whatever reason, they seem to still be protected by this union, I believe, that they must be associated with. I mean, you have to be. Like, you'd have to be, they'd have to be under some kind of a, like, really great protection to be able to pull off these things that they do and get away with it. I was so annoyed when I saw recently the pregnant woman. I believe her name was Michelle Cooks. I believe that's her name. The pregnant, I believe she was 8 months pregnant, dropping her second grader off, and an altercation happened, a verbal altercation in the parking lot. And this officer, with a body cam, mind you, everybody kept telling me, "Oh, things are going to get better with body cams," and I'm just like, okay, no, I didn't go for that. But this officer's got a body cam on, okay, and I'm sure you all seen it. He is called for a dispute in the parking lot. He goes to the Caucasian woman because she was the one who called for law enforcement. So it's natural that they would go, to the person who called to find out what happened. He goes to her. She's telling him what happened. He's admitted on camera, on his own body camera, that he has not seen or does not believe that any crime has been committed. Doesn't ask her for her name or anything. Nothing. Just talking. Okay, I'm going to go over and see what the other person has to say. She gives her side of how things happen on her end, and he's asking for her name. Why? Why? In that state, she doesn't have to give her name. And she does give her first name, but she doesn't have to give her name if she doesn't want to. But that, according to the officer, it's not good enough. Her first name is not good enough. So she's like, well, I need to make a call to make sure, in fact, I have to give you my name. And he was like, well, how long is that going to take you? I mean, like, do these officers just make up stuff as they go along? Is that how it goes? Like, they have training to do what? Like, what's the training for? Do they just make up stuff as they go along? How do you not ask? You say there was no crime committed. On your own body camera, out of your own mouth, you say that there was no damage to the woman's vehicle. You then go over to the African American lady, have to ask her name because you have to have her name, but you didn't have to have the Caucasian lady's name, okay? For those who keep saying this is not a racial thing, okay, you don't ask her, but you ask the African American lady for her information. For what? No crime has been committed. You got her side of the story, now you're getting my side of the story, and that should be the end of it. As a law enforcement, your job is to bring down the chaos. There's a little chaos going on. You just stay there. You get the side of the stories or whatever. You have two women bitching in the parking lot, basically. Okay, you go about your business. You go about your business, and I'm gonna go about mine. Okay, but then you have to go get her name for what? For what? Okay, so she refuses to give you her name. She gives her first name, but she's not going to give you her last because she's finding out the fact that she has to. And then you're like, well, how long is that going to take you? Apparently it wasn't fast enough because then you go to arrest her. For what? No crime has been committed. The chief wants to back up his officer and be an ass and say stupid stuff like, well, she resisted arrest. What was she being arrested for if there was no crime committed? See, I like to look at stuff and I like to break things down. I'm looking at from point A to point B to point C to point D, if further on, if necessary. So if point C, resisting arrest, would not have occurred if point B didn't happen, why are you going to handcuff me for a crime that wasn't committed? For what reasons? What reason? The lady called and said that some lady was yelling at her and threw something at her car and hit her windshield. You already said that there was no damage done to the lady's vehicle. It looks like there's no crime has been committed. You just have two women in the parking lot bitching about driving in the parking lot. That's what you got. You got two women who got a little irritated with one another. They're arguing with one another, and she calls the cops. There's no proof that something was thrown or this woman hit her car because there was no damage made to the vehicle. So your job as the officers to do what? They're arguing, they're heated, you know. Your job is supposed to come and de-escalate the issue, okay? You know, explain to them, you know, blah, blah, whatever it is, say what it is to make them happy and go about the damn business. Like, but you come in here and want to arrest her for what? And then throw her on the ground on her stomach was 8 months pregnant. Is that part of training too? Is that part of the training too? Just, it doesn't matter whether they're pregnant. I just toss them on the ground, knock them on the ground. For what reason? I don't know, because no crime has been committed. So what is she being arrested for? And then we're supposed to be happy that the charges were dropped. The hell? Are you serious right now? Well, of course they would have to be dropped. I mean, what ass would think that who would go further? But my problem is how did he get from point B to point C, and how is that okay? That's my confusion. Unless I'm missing something, like maybe there's another part of the video that we haven't seen yet, or I haven't seen yet. But the video that I saw just didn't make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense. If you're saying that no crime has been committed, what am I being arrested for? Why do you need my information? Because in your state, I don't have to give you anything. I can. Now, if it was me, you know, I would give it to you for what? Because I haven't done anything. But I do have a right not to as well. And as an officer, you should know that in your own state. I mean, what did you just pick up random people out of the grocery store? Like, hey, you want to be a cop? Here, take a gun and a shield and you're good. Is that how that works? Without knowing anything? You don't know that I don't have to give you my, or were you going banking on the fact that I wouldn't know my rights where I live to know that I don't have to give you my name? Were you banking on that? Most likely banking on the fact that I wouldn't know my own rights. Okay. Obviously. People just don't understand. You will never be able to fix the problem by pacifying people and putting band-aids on injuries that need surgery or stitches. And you put a band-aid on shit and think that that's going to be okay. And it's not okay. That whole scenario was just dumb. It was a bad call. And so instead of the chief saying, you know, listen, it was a bad call on the officer to arrest the individual, but the law is when an officer is placing you under arrest, you're supposed to, you know, go with it basically, and then go through the courts or whatever the situation is. The body cam to show, it would have shown that it was a dumbass move and charges would be dropped. You know, instead of saying that, he would just say like, oh, well, she did resist arrest. It's like people just don't want to take ownership. No, your officer was an ass. And he made a badass move. Instead of you saying that and owning ownership, that's the whole problem. Like, nobody wants to own ownership. Nobody wants to take responsibility of the actions. This is your officer. This is the person that you hired. This is the person that represents your police department. And instead of saying, like, listen, you know, it was a bad call, and personally, I feel it was a bad call. I wouldn't have made the arrest, but the law is, you know, once an officer is placing you under arrest, you know, you're to comply with it. Oh Lord, I won't even touch bases on the Texas pool party, or this officer pulling his gun out on 14-year-old unarmed children. Kids. I mean, are you guys scared? Is that what it is? You officers, are you guys scared? Is that what it is? You're just scared? Is that the first thing you guys just do? Is just, you know, pull your weapon to try to intimidate people? I mean, is that what it is? Because you don't know how to do it any other way? Is that what it is? You go to a pool party and you have kids, children, not adults, kids, and you're pulling, and he's gonna lie and say he did. Wow. It's like a lot of these officers are just punks. A bunch of punks. Scared. And the first thing you want to do is pull out your weapon on these children. And then lie and say you didn't, but it's on camera. You know, I honestly feel like, and this video is getting so long, but I honestly feel like if these officers who are doing wrong and have been caught, if they get a harsh enough punishment, it might send a message to these other ones who try to do something just as bad. Because if you keep slapping people on the wrist, you're just going to keep doing it. I mean, they're just going to keep doing it. If you keep, you know, that's almost like with a drunk driver. You know, he keeps getting pulled over and you keep giving him a ticket, but he still has his license. You get a ticket, he pays it off. That's like a slap on the wrist, especially if it works. Just paid it off. It's a serious offense. Driving while intoxicated, you could take someone's life, but you keep slapping people on the wrist, it's cool. So with these officers who's going around and he's popping people, you know, shooting people left and right and claiming, you know, like, who in their right mind would charge an officer with a gun? Who in their right mind? You know, I'm not talking about those that are mentally ill or those who want to commit suicide. I'm talking about regular people, you know, like, you know, who would charge them? Why would I charge it? You have a gun. I mean, I could see if you had a knife, some people might take their chances with a knife, you know, and try to get that person down, but you have a gun, you know. As tough as people think black people are, these big black people, guns kill us too, you know. You know, we're not like Superman. We can't, like, grab the bullet. You know, our chest won't, like, bounce off the chest and hit you. Like, you know, we die from gunshots too, you know. Just letting you know. Oh, I'm so irritated. Wow, this video is a lot longer than I anticipated. I'm deep in my feelings. Just made me mad. Let me go ahead and do what I'm doing. I'm just mad, y'all. I'm just mad and scared. Mad and scared. I got a brother out there that's can be hot-tempered and, you know, thinking you know everything, and I mean, that could be my brother out there, shot on the street somewhere talking about, and I know for a fact my brother ain't running up after nobody. He's it's not in him. He's too chicken. He's too chicken. He's too chicken, and I know that. So, but it's on my mind, and it weighs heavy on my mind because time after time I'm watching these news. These officers are shooting these people left and right, and then I see this thing where there's a pool party. And these officers, you know, yelling to them, "Get your ass over there! Get your ass over there!" Like you're talking to children. Is that how you train to talk to children? That's how you do. You talk to children that way, and then you pull your weapon. You pull your weapon on a 13 or a 14-year-old child. Let me go. Before this video be even longer than what it needs to be. Y'all have a blessed and saved day, because this world is nothing but chaos, We just need to pray. If we are not in our last days, we are almost in our last days. Just pray, y'all.